Iakopo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Man, blessings, bro. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Just chilling out here in Tokyo, Springtime coming. Count my blessings.
Awesome. Well, speaking of you being in Tokyo, how's the whole quarantine situation over there?
Everything's fine, I mean, people say quarantine, but it's not really quarantine. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
people use these words like lockdown and quarantine, but you know, it's not really quarantine or lockdown. But people, everything's fine. Everything's fine. You know. The It's a little different right now, but you know, Japan culture, they're very sanitary. They're very,
Yeah.
they have high hygiene.
Hmm.
It's a bath culture. They wear masks a lot when they're going on trains and stuff anyways.
Hmm.
So you know, it's fine,
Well, I know you travel often, so are you still traveling under this whole quarantine, or you just pretty much been staying in Japan?
Well, I was actually on tour. I was in Sweden and Denmark. Where else was I? Australia, New Zealand. The last place I was in before I landed in America was the Samoa Islands, and then I landed back in America mid January, end of January, somewhere around there. And then right when this whole pandemic started taking off, and I was found myself in the midst of it. We actually had a video shoot scheduled.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
I had a music video scheduled with Sean Paul on the 30th of March,
Hmm.
and I think I can't remember when I got to LA. Actually, I think it was the middle of February, and then we were doing some recording and stuff out there. I had some shows in Texas. And then as this thing started to escalate, um, I started to realize that it was going to be, something, global and bigger. And
Hmm.
that I was actually in Los Angeles, and I started getting phone calls, and friends of mine were telling me that the things were going to be started to you kind of lock down and lock off and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I decided to get out of Dodge, and I just
Hmm.
flew back to Japan because I would rather be over here during this whole crisis, Um, so I had album release was scheduled to release in Japan in May,
Hmm.
first week in May, and then my tour was scheduled. Actually, I was booked for the Olympics too, and
Hmm.
yeah, that got the tours. I had tours all over the world that
Oh
was
man.
everything was canceled. The Olympics was canceled. The album release was canceled. So I'm just chilling out here recording. We're releasing music. We're doing some music videos still. We're staying productive. We're staying active. I've actually launched a few companies. Been doing some stuff with the youth here as well as in
Hmm.
Africa. Um, I actually launched a line of masks. Like I'll have my assistant bring one over in a minute to show
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Masks. So basically, we're making masks like the design of like a bandana,
Hmm. Hmm.
but mask. Excuse me.
I can see you making some cool masks.
Yeah. So we got some really cool masks that are being designed right now. Um, I've actually collaborated somewhat with a high-end brand called Three Parodies out of France
Hmm.
on some masks, and we've also got like this hand sanitizer as well as this spray. Like it's a kind of like basically like a disinfectant spray
Hmm.
that you can just carry around with you. You can, you know what I mean? If you're going in an elevator, you can spray the buttons, just
Yeah.
sanitize, things
Hmm.
just that I can kind of contribute, just to kind of, for the awareness, global awareness. hygiene, and just health, health precautions and stuff like that. Um, I'm not one that I've kind of been staying off of the my personal information that I have, or beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
or my personal views on a lot of this stuff. I'm just kind of stepping back and letting everything run its course, because there's so much information going out there.
Yeah.
This whole pandemic is designed, and this whole world and systems has been designed in a way, precisely to divide. Um,
Yeah.
so there's a million ways to divide up all of us humans into different categories, whether that be skin color, race, ethnicity, religious beliefs, political views, right, left, sexual orientation. Just the list just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, the more ways that I can find to unify and to bring people to realize that, we're actually way more similar than we are
Yeah.
different. Just kind of, the basic human rights, the basic, um, basic principles of life, and taking care of each other, or respecting each other, and respecting the earth, respecting the environment,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I'm more advocating on those types of situations and stuff right now. As well as, making music every day, or mostly every day.
Yeah. I'll keep an eye out for those masks. I only have one. I use a like a spray painter's mask that I got from a festival. But no, I'll keep an eye out for your mask because I think you would make a pretty cool mask too.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, man. We got some multi colors. So yeah, definitely. We're working on some clothing lines and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually been having it for a while. I kind of put it like I kind of like haven't pushed it right now,
Mm-hmm.
just because I didn't feel like I wanted to push a new clothing line right in the middle of a global, crisis.
Yeah.
I'm kind of waiting for that to die down, like for that to ease off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, but but definitely, I'm excited to just you know, share whatever I can do to
Mm-hmm.
be creative and just
Yeah.
positive and to help out. I think a big thing too is this positive thinking. I think that that's really important. And even though, like, the mask culture, or the mask awareness, or wearing of the mask out in public, it's also important to get fresh oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And just as much as it's important as people are saying, the social distancing or whatever, I would definitely encourage everybody, that, make sure you're getting sunshine and fresh
Yeah.
air too. You know what I'm saying? Positive music, positive thoughts, whether that's like, putting on some, on YouTube, you can find meditation stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes of yoga, 5 minutes of meditation,
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes of prayer. Hey, that's 15 minutes right there. But that will literally set, it will, your molecules in your body,
Yeah. Yeah.
will, and your chakras and your brain, everything will be in much more alignment. I recently came into this Wuha breathing technique,
Hmm.
where it's like a deep breathing technique where you take 30 breaths.
Mm-hmm.
So, through your nose, exhale, so you take 30 breaths, and then
Mm-hmm.
you take one deep breath, and then you hold it for 30 seconds, and then
Okay.
you let it out, and then you hold it for 30 seconds. So, and then that system, it actually releases CBD in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it actually increases your it strengthens your immune system. You feel some like a serenity and peace. And they actually say that it actually, if you do it, there's a specific way that you could do it. Actually releases DMT in your brain as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not necessarily trying to go that deep with it at the moment, but
Yeah, yeah.
it has. I use a breathing technique to control my heart rate, so you can slow down your heart by the way you breathe, et cetera, et cetera. Which is great just for the mental clarity. Just kind of like relaxing. It's a lot of stress. It's a stressful situation globally.
Yeah.
So these breathing techniques that I learned from my brother Shen has been awesome. Just kind of keep the vibration and the energy, the blood, the oxygen, everything
Mm-hmm.
just balanced and healthy and well, because stress lowers the immune system
Yeah.
significantly. So it's deep breathing and this positive thinking definitely helps to relieve those things. So
Hmm.
just a little something for the listeners.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Well, I want to talk a little bit about your music. You mentioned that you're working on an album, but you also had an album come out last year called Waves. Was that your first album that you released since your return to the U.S.?
um yes, yeah. um I came to the US in 2015, 16.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I released the song with Shaggy, and then it's a long stories, but yeah, so I released that album, Waves. Unfortunately, the whole album is not on Spotify, but it is on Apple Music.
Mm.
Um and all the other sites, but unfortunately it's not on Spotify. um but it's out there, and it's people really love that album. And I recorded the whole album in 432 megahertz.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole concept for that album was just, what I mean, like a vibe. I just was
Yeah.
just putting out like a vibe that like kind of like smokers chill,
Mm-hmm.
go on a like cruising in the wherever, you could just lay back and listen to some good music, the good vibe. That was kind of my theme and my approach to that album. The waves. Yeah.
No, it is. Now that you mention it, it makes sense because I noticed that I like to cruise a lot with your music on, especially that album. So you're absolutely correct. Cause I like just I'll when I'm driving around near the beach before this whole quarantine situation, I would just pull down the windows, kick like, one foot up on the window, and cruise to your music. So
Hey,
yeah.
awesome, awesome.
Well, it seems like you're hard at work, man. You had the album that came out, and you mentioned that you're working on an album, and you've been releasing a lot of singles since your last album. From what I counted, you've had four singles released just this year alone. So, what can we expect from you next?
A lot. I have about 5 or 6 singles that um I think that we're gonna upload at least 2 or 3 of them tonight. So they'll
Mm-hmm.
be dropping in the next week. I have a song with Cure and Gramps Morgan from Morgan Heritage called
Mm-hmm.
"The
Wow.
World Must Change." I think it's releasing next week. Um, we re- we re- we recorded it a while back in Kingston, Jamaica, at Tough Gong, Bob Marley's studio.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was kind of like I had the vision, I had the image in my head, and I was like, "Hey, Gramps, we got to make like a kind of like heal the world song."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Okay," and we were actually working with Ziggy Marley's band, and he was like, "Hey, yo, play this, bop, 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 bop,"
Mm-hmm.
and he just kind of hummed some notes, and then he's like, "Bop, bop, bop, bop," and then the band just jumped in, and everybody started playing, and then we created the instrumentation, the musical aspect of the song, and then Gramps was like, go back home and write the lyrics. So I went back to my apartment in Kingston. I wrote the lyrics that night. We came back to the studio the next day and we tracked it. And Cure came on board and did a verse, and then Gramps Morgan sang a bridge on it. So that song is called "The World Must Change." It's scheduled to release within the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like a laid back, positive, feel good vibe song. Um, so that's definitely something for the fans to and listeners to look out for. As well as I just did a song with Bruno Mars this last week.
No shit.
Yeah, and that song is called "Love Conquers All," and that song as well is kind of a we got together for kind of for this basically for this global situation that everybody's going through,
Mm-hmm.
and we decided to put a song together that would just kind of help people get through this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also got Grammy winner Coffee. You know Coffee?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course, man. I
Coffee.
love coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, so she joined on the track as well.
No shit.
So we got Bruno Mars and Coffee on the song, as well as my brother Dre Ross. So that song is called "Love Conquers All," and that's scheduled to release May 2nd.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I
Um,
can't wait for this music. You're mentioning all these names that I'm like big fans of.
yeah, and then I'm gonna drop one more, and then I'll chill. Um, so I have one more song. It's called "Closer to You," and it's with Sean Paul, and it drops
Mm-hmm.
May 12th.
Oh man. Yeah.
So and these collabs that happen, I've actually been working on a lot of my own stuff, and I kind of I've been working with a lot of different kind of producers and stuff. I mean, I made my album Waves, which was um, basically my concept for that was like the musical bed was like I would say like 90% was like based off of like Gregory Isaacs,
Mm-hmm.
Love Is Rock kind of instrumentation meets Bob Marley,
Mm-hmm.
and then with my own vocal flow on it. But
Yeah.
the musicality of it was basically like Gregory Isaacs meets Bob Marley, with a little bit of updated sounds. Like for
Mm-hmm.
the most part, that's kind of what we did, and then vocally, I just kind of I just tried, I mean, I'm just do my thing on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so May 12th, we got the song with Sean Paul, "Closer to You," and then May 2nd, "Love Conquers All" with Bruno Mars and Coffee. Oh, some good stuff to look forward to.
Yeah. I can't wait, man. Well, I want to talk a little bit about your experience in Japan. You've been performing there for several years, and you moved there from Hawaii over there. And a lot of musicians that I've interviewed previously, like that, Japan's their dream location to perform at. So I'm just curious, being someone that's performed a lot over there, what are some great venues to perform at?
Venues. I don't know. I like doing the festivals out here or just outdoor shows. I would. I enjoyed the Zep tour with Sony. Sony Music
Mm-hmm.
owns this kind of live venue called Zep, and they're based all over Japan. It's kind of like it, I mean, for lack of a better, um, it's kind of like a hard rock cafe, but a little bit more upscale and a little bigger. It's
Hmm.
more of like a bigger venue, but it's kind of like a brand name venue. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
But it's a real fun place to perform, to do the tours. But I also like doing the beach houses and the outdoor festivals. Fuji Rock is a really dope one out here. Um, so the stadiums in arenas. I mean, we usually do. There's a Tokyo Arena. Um, but I mean, I enjoy anywhere in Japan. Everywhere I perform, I really enjoy. I mean, I really can't explain it. To me, I don't care if it's 100 people or 100,000. I think I pretty much enjoy
Mm-hmm.
everything because I just enjoy connecting with the people. Something very special about the culture and the people here that I just it became like a second home. I mean, I was born in California. I grew up in Samoa,
Mm-hmm.
lived in Hawaii when I graduated school, and then I got I got brought to Japan. Um, so and it just became like a home to me, and I I didn't really know anything about Japan before I came, and
Mm-hmm.
I just um, became embraced by the Japanese people over time, and I've just slowly like become more um, acquaintance with the culture and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's just like it's. I mean, I think I like it better than the States. If they legalized weed in Japan, it would be like the absolute hands down best place for me ever. But I think it still is. I think it still is.
But that does make sense because I mean Japan is kind of a futuristic kind of style place. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and yeah, that's what makes what one of the things that I love about Japan so much is as much it is futuristic, it's
Mm,
also ancient.
yeah. Yeah.
Like we're in Tokyo, everything is very advanced and all of that, but you go out an hour outside of any city and it's a different Japan. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
an island culture. It's a very spiritual culture. Everything
Mm-hmm.
that is a lot of integrity and in just in general, in the people, in the work, in the character. um there's a lot of etiquette, and they're very polite. It's
Yeah.
just they're very in tune with the like anywhere outside the city. It's a very like you know islandy farmers, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a weed culture. you know
Mm-hmm.
Weed, spiritual, Buddha, chanting, meditations.
Hmm.
The food, very high end food. The style,
Hmm.
the clothing is very clean, very,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything's just dope. you know
Yeah. Well, so Japan's not a place that I mean I would think reggae would be popular, but you're obviously well known there. So who are some other reggae artists that are known there?
Yeah, I mean, Japan loves reggae. I think Japan is a lover of like in Japan. I think you can find what would be the right word, like a subculture of pretty much any kind of music. They just love um they're just lovers of everything, whether
Hmm.
but um for reggae, I would say the outside of Japan, I mean, I think see, the thing is that Japanese do they do their own reggae,
Hmm.
and it's there's reggae and there's dancehall, but I think
Hmm.
that dancehall is basically considered reggae. I think they Sean Paul and Shaggy are probably favorites over here.
Hmm.
Movado, Vibes Cartel are probably favorites. Like if you were to go um into the like clubs or whatever, like that's what you would listen to. Like that's what they would play. A number one, I would say Vibes Cartel.
Hmm.
Which he's yeah, obviously we know he's in prison. But Sean Paul, Shaggy, Vibes Cartel, Movado, Coffee,
Hmm.
Beanie Man. So I think in generally for they like more of the dance hall um sound. But then they also like the really laid back kind of like Hawaiian kind of stuff.
Hmm.
um like you'll hear that playing in like a lot of restaurants and stuff, that kind of like
Hmm.
very islandy, slow, like love, like I mean, for lack of a better term, it's kind of basic. I would say it's like kind of that Hawaiian sound, like that
Hmm.
old kind of Hawaiian interpretation of reggae.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. Well,
Is there anybody else? I mean, I'm sure there's Jacure.
Jack here. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack here is awesome. Well, since you move around often to other countries, but obviously you lived in Japan for so long, do you still have any? Do you have habits that you picked up in Japan that you still have, like if you go to America or somewhere else that's not really a normal habit here?
Yeah, I do. That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's when, um, in Japan they're just very polite and they're very courteous, and in the States, stuff people aren't. So, um, when I go, when I meet people, or even if I go to the store or whatever, I buy something. I gotta stop I kind of gotta stop myself from like bowing and like in Japan it's like
Yeah.
if you engage with somebody, or you kind of like you know and like
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
States will be looking at you funny and stuff, and so
Like, what are you bowing? Why are you bowing to me?
yeah, I mean, some people get it. I mean, I like to I do that anyway, like when I meet people. I'm not a big handshaker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I see my homies or whatever, like, yo, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
you know but if I'm just meeting regular people off somewhere randomly, I don't prefer to shake hands. I prefer to
Mm. Yeah.
namaste,
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
konnichiwa,
Mm-hmm.
but so I still do that anyway, but yeah, I think when I go to the store or whatever and I buy something, and then I'm like, I find myself like
Mm-hmm.
in the States sometimes, but anyway, I when I go back sometimes, I do miss the etiquette, that and the respect and the honor that you have in Japan that you just don't have in the States so much. But I think every place there's things that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Every place, there's the pros and the cons, or the goods, bads, the things you like, and the things that you might not care for as much.
Are you big on sushi since you've been living in Japan?
That is a very common question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm vegetarian, so
Okay.
I eat I eat a vegetarian lifestyle. I'm vegetarian lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so and it's funny or interesting as it sounds, like sushi is not a big thing here at
Hmm.
all. At all. Like
Yeah, yeah.
the average, I would say average Japanese person probably in a whole month probably doesn't even eat sushi.
Hmm.
So it's like a kind of more of a rare occasion, like
Hmm.
maybe a couple times a year you might go and have sushi. I don't know. Um, you know? So it's in America, that's like the thing that people identify like
Yeah, yeah.
sushi. But here it's there. I think Japan actually has more foods than any other culture.
Hmm.
Like it, like just there's so much different kinds of foods, like even like fruits and vegetables and roots, and
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different kinds of foods here. Somebody broke it down once, but like compared to like the amount of nutrition and the amount of different like types of foods that you would have in a
Mm-hmm.
Japanese meal compared to American meal, it
Mm-hmm.
would be something compared to like 150 to 1 to
Oh
like
wow.
7.
Wow. Jeez.
It's like you get so much different stuff over here,
Yeah, yeah.
um so I mean I eat a lot of tofu, a lot of different kinds of veggies, stuff like that. So um the list goes on. Japan has sweet beans. With my meal I'll be like, I got like the miso soup, and then
Mm-hmm.
the rice and natto and tofu. You know, probably like 3 or 4 different types of tofu, grilled tofu. You know,
Mm-hmm.
tofu. You know, and then you know, they got soba noodles, udon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just goes on and on. So
Yeah, yeah.
the food is amazing though. For
Yeah.
real, the Japanese really put a lot. I think they put a lot into anything they do.
All right, so I'm gonna plan a trip to Japan. You kind of convinced me now. One, two things I'm gonna look for: festivals, since you said festivals are awesome there, and foods. I'm gonna try as much food as I can over there, outside of
Yeah,
sushi.
yeah, definitely. Oh, bro, you need to stay a few weeks just to get,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, a well-rounded experience. You know.
yeah, yeah. That I'm gonna put that on my agenda for
Yeah.
2020. But Yokopo, it seems like you're really big on culture. You travel a lot between the Caribbean, the US, and the South Pacific. I know you've learned other languages such as Japanese and Samoan. So are there other foreign languages that you know?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I would say, you know, Samoan and Japanese would be the other two. You know, English, Samoan, Japanese. I mean, speaking Samoan, I naturally can understand other Polynesian languages and dialects. Um, you know, I can speak a little bit of Spanish living in California and also Miami so long.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much Samoan and, you know, I can speak Patois, but pretty much Samoan and Japanese would be the other two languages that I kind of picked up, you know. My Samoan is a lot better than my Japanese because just I was so young when I was there, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So, I mean, I still think in Samoan sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Well, I used to live in Fiji for a bit and had to pick up the language over there, and I noticed like the Fijian language is a lot similar to the Samoan language.
Uh
And
huh.
also like the other islands around, they're all kind of similar together.
Yeah, 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 for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I listen to a lot listen to a lot of your music, and I noticed that they're all in English from what I've heard. So did
Yeah.
any of your songs have to be translated into Japanese?
No, no. I just keep it all in English because, you know, music is my communication and my expression. Um, and you know, I just communicate and speak in English, and it's just better for me that way. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I have actually made a few songs in well, I have a few songs in Samoan and a few songs in Japanese, but not the only song that was released was a song that I speak a little Samoan in called Heart of Polynesia. I
Mm-hmm.
released that in 2009, but I actually did have a couple of songs in Japanese, but we never actually released them. I'm kind of glad that we didn't though, because it's not my language, and I
Yeah.
don't. At the right time, I'm sure I'll. In the right time, I'm sure I'll probably like instead of write one, I think I'll probably maybe cover like a popular old like
Mm-hmm.
folk Japanese song. I think that would come across a little more authentic for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my favorite Japanese folk songs, like do a cover of it or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Even that cover, I might do it in English. You know, just
Yeah. That's cool. Well, before your
yeah. I mean,
move,
Japanese want to learn English too, so you know,
yeah. Yeah, it's good reason to learn English, and you get to vibe on your music as well.
right?
Well,
See, we win.
yeah. Before you moved to Japan, you were living in Samoa for some time and then moved to Hawaii, and you
Yeah.
had your band Kiza Creation. So what made you want to start making music professionally over there?
Um, actually I didn't want to. It just I had no thought at all about it, and
Mm-hmm.
I got an offer from Universal Japan in 2009, and actually sent me a contract, um, money, studio time, and a ticket with an
Mm-hmm.
apartment. And actually, I didn't take the I didn't make the flight,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just nervous. I mean, I literally didn't know anything about Japan. I didn't even desire to come here, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know anything about it at all. It just sounded scary. I've seen things where like people like sleeping in like
Yeah.
dresser size drawers stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like, man, I'm gonna have a panic attack if I go over there. And then plus, they don't speak English.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's not an English based country, so I really didn't. Really didn't have any desire at all to come here. They took, they sent me a plane ticket. I didn't make the flight. I told them I wasn't sure about it. They sent me a second ticket, and at the last minute, I just took it, and then I came here. So yeah, it was not planned. It was not envisioned or thought out or sought out by me. It just
Mm-hmm.
naturally sought me out, and then I came here. And actually, the first thing when I got here, the very first thing that they told me is that I need to sing in Japanese, and I
Hmm.
was like, I'm ready to go back home. Like I didn't get it at all. I didn't get it at all. I was like, why,
Yeah.
But I think those times have changed. I mean, I just I I build up my fans one by one, show by show.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, and I'm comfortable with where I'm at now, and I've got support here, and I've got a great fan base here, and it took a lot longer maybe doing
Mm-hmm.
that way, but it's more authentic. And as I was here, my music started to buzz in other places in the world, so
Mm-hmm.
it worked out for the better.
Yeah, cool. So what made you want to make the change from having a band in one part of the world to going solo into another part of the world?
That was another thing. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, or that I thought about, or even sought out at all. It just happened.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
My song "Heart of Polynesia" won the International Music Video Awards in 2009, and it was that same week that I got a contract from Universal Japan.
Hmm. Wow.
So it just happened. I didn't plan it out or anything.
Hmm. Well, I know you're a big UB40 fan, and think I've heard in other interviews of your favorite song being "Red Red Wine," which it's funny you're drinking red wine, and that's
It's so
another.
fun. I think one of my classic favorite songs from UB40 is "Bring Me Your Cup."
Bring me your cup. Okay.
I love as a kid. I remember listening to Red Red Wine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so easy to remember when I'm looking back as a kid. It's like I remember driving around in the car as a kid and listening to that song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and UB40 was just something about their music that when I played it, I just felt so good.
Mm.
And until this day, I get the same feeling when I listen to it.
Oh yeah.
So, um, Ollie Campbell, and just, I don't know, just there was something that just sounded so good about their music. It just
Yeah.
made me
Yeah.
feel so good. So, yeah, Forever is my favorite, like my favorite reggae band for sure.
Yeah. Well, since you became a musician, have you ever got a chance to meet them?
I haven't. I have not.
No. Well, I know they're still touring too, and I mean with Ollie Campbell and everything. So there's still a chance, and I would love to also see those guys perform, man.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know they parted ways for a while, and then released recently seen them get back together about what 3 or 4 years ago, whenever it was.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I know Ali Campbell was releasing um some solo type music or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean sounds the same. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, Jacopo, you have a
right?
really interesting background, and I thought I'd start a new recurring segment in this podcast called "Name Your Bio." If you could name the title of your own autobiography, what would it be called and why?
So I have name my autobiography. Um, well, that's something that I think I would definitely put some thought into.
Mm-hmm.
But it just for fun off the top of the dome.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good question. I have to really think about that.
Yeah.
There's so many dynamics in it. Let's see. Mm, I would call it sky move.
Sky move. Okay.
Yeah. So it would just be, you have to think about it because um, I have so many different aspects and segments, dynamics, and different influences and culturally
Mm-hmm.
that if I were to try to articulate that in one or two words, it would not be fair to my other experiences. I think that's why, people haven't been able to, until now, people are starting to get to know me for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
but it took people a while because to understand about me because I'm so multicultural and so from being born in California and raised in Samoa and Hawaii and
Mm-hmm.
living in Japan and Jamaica and kind of eclectic, spiritually and culturally eclectic. Just so it's like I'm a unique kind of person. So I have a unique story. So but everything that I aspire to do is to uplift and to expand,
Mm-hmm.
worldwide, globally, universally, galactically, intergalactically, internally,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, metaphysically. It's all become it's all become something that like all of these things that we have learned along the way, um, like through the different cultures and stuff like um, has kind of made me who I am. So I don't know, like Christ had a parable in the Bible when he said the kingdom of heaven is like a fish net that is cast into the sea, and
Mm-hmm.
it brings up everything on board and it casts away that which is doesn't work or it's not good. So I think kind of like in some kind of way that's how I've done music for myself. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's what's good for one is it's not always the same for
Yeah.
everybody else. So for me personally, that's kind of what I have done in my life, culturally, musically, spiritually, and stuff like that. Is I just absorb all of the goodness. I accept everything, and I believe everything, and I take it in, and I let go of what don't serve me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but on a deeper note, is definitely a good thought to good something to think about. But for now, it would be Sky Move because that's what I'm pushing. Sky Move.
Sky move. Now I like the title of that. That sounds awesome. Well, Jacopo, thank you for sharing that. Is there before we wrap up? Is there anything you want to share with our listeners?
I would just say, love to everyone. It's a beautiful time to be alive. The planet is moving through the universe, and humanity is at a place that it's never been before. I would say it's a magical and blessed time to be alive,
Mm-hmm.
and let's just feel the resonance and the inner love and tune into the inner light within, and that's the messages that we've been receiving from the universe is tune into your inner light and feed your feed your mind, strengthen your mind with good ideas and positive things that feel good. you
Mm-hmm.
know um, Follow your greatest aspirations and be kind.
Be kind. Yeah, that's important to do. Be kind to everyone too. But
Yeah, take care of yourself, take care of your mind,
yeah, self
take
love,
care of your
man.
body. Get rest, exercise, all the basic stuff. Let's look at ways that we can start working with the earth again, Mother
Mm-hmm.
Earth. um yeah, feel good, smile. You're often, it's not the things that you say that people remember, but the way that you make them feel. So
Mm-hmm.
feel good, make people feel good. We'll
Yeah.
come back to you. And for
And that's why people should listen to your music to feel good too. But Iakopo, thank you for sharing that, man, and thank you for this awesome Irie Chat and this amazing conversation. But from the bottom of my heart, Iakopo, thank you so much for joining us in Irie Chat today, and best of luck on everything.
Yahweh. Blessings, brother. I
Yeah,
appreciate you.
my
Talk
pleasure.
to you soon for having me. Oh, and follow me on Instagram, Iakopo Music. Iakopo Music. Boop.
Cool.
Stay tuned.